they are now at the ready. This is James Brady, a handgun right at his head on the pavement. Mr. Brady, we are told, received a head wound. The seriousness of it has not been disclosed. He is obviously under treatment now. An X-ray reveals a head wound. No further report. Both the presidential counselor, Edwin Meese, and the presidential chief of staff, James Baker, are at the hospital with Mr. Baker, or with Mr. Brady, rather. These are Secret Service agents, obviously do not want the press looking in. The next rule is keep the press away in a time of crisis. This is James Brady. Once Mr. Brady was taken by ambulance to George Washington Hospital, and it was determined that the President of the United States was not injured, we are told that the President, in fact, went to GW Hospital. This videotape was taken just outside the Washington Hilton Hotel, where about an hour ago, an assailant, obviously bent on killing the President of the United States, tried but failed. What he did do was, in his quick burst of gunfire, he wounded Presidential Press Secretary James Brady. It is said he wounded a Secret Service agent, and it is known that he wounded a Metropolitan Police officer who is in critical condition. Ed?
One question that I think we have not answered that may have arisen in some minds of the whereabouts of Mrs. Reagan. Mrs. Reagan was not with the President when this happened.
The three wounded persons are Jim Brady, the White House press secretary. That much seems assured. That the identities on the other two wounded persons are tentative. One believed to be a Washington policeman, the other Secret Service agent. This Jim Brady, who seems to have a head wound, not seems to have, does have a head wound, but it's unclear from this videotape whether that head wound was suffered as he hit the pavement or is from a gunshot wound. The condition of White House Press Secretary Brady and the other two persons injured by the gunfire outside the Washington Hilton Hotel as an attack, an unsuccessful attack, was made on President Reagan, the President unhurt. The conditions of the three persons who were injured by the gunfire unknown at this time.
Yeah, we should point out that it's Richard Roth again in Washington. Mike Deaver, the Jed, you know better than I, the Deputy Chief of Staff, I believe, was in that group that we saw emerging from the hotel, and at one point it looked as if he might have been hurt in some way. We have received word now that that he was not.
He's right in the picture that we'll see in a little while, the slow motion repeat. You'll see Deaver right in front of Brady or right beside Brady, and as the shots are fired, Brady leaves the frame, so to speak, is out of the picture, and Deaver then disappears from the picture, but it looks as if he's not hurt.
For those of you who may know Washington, this was the side or so-called ballroom entrance to the Washington Hilton Hotel. There are two Hilton hotels in Washington. This is the one which is on, well, Washingtonians would describe it as being on top of the hill on Connecticut Avenue, not the Hilton Hotel closest to the White House. The President had gone there to make an address, and as he came out...
car, the agents, in order to get him away from the scene of danger. Jim Brady, the White House press secretary, was among those hit. A Secret Service agent, we have now been told it was a Secret Service agent, and a policeman. I thought I saw, it appeared to be a uniformed policeman on the ground just behind Jim.
Maybe there was not a fourth person. There was some eyewitnesses saw it. I only saw the three.
Well, on our tape there we could see the three persons down. Well, that's about all we can tell you about this this tragedy, this near tragedy. We don't know yet how it's going to turn out or the condition of the other people. Jim Brady appeared to have been shot in the head, Sam. That's what it
We must be very careful.
Yeah.
That was my, We must be very careful. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Where he was shot. But there was blood around his head, around his nostrils and his mouth.
Yes. And we don't know the condition or the identity of the Secret Service agent or of the Washington policeman, but we have been told now by the Secret Service that it was a policeman and Jim Brady and a Secret Service agent. We'll show you this tape one more time. See, everything is
raining, as you say.
Normal, tranquil.
President Reagan!
Here is
Michael Deaver just came through, and he wasn't like that. Frank, I will wager that when we analyze this tape, we will hear the shots before we see the reaction.
I suppose.
Because that was too quick to grab that guy, from my recollection.
Well, they move very fast to get him.
Very rapidly, but 4 shots clearly were fired before he was apprehended.
Yes. Here's another call coming in. I'm going to pick it up. All right, we've just been told that the next statement, again, as we reported
That's
earlier.
Brady, and of course there's a gun on the ground. We don't know whether that was the gun that the assailant used or not. At least I don't know that.
Oh.
But presumably it was, because no law officer would allow his gun at a time like that to be on the ground. If you could help it.
No, you can see plenty of weapons suddenly emerging there, you see, and the others.
Although,
this
come to
fellow
think of it, that gun may have been one belonging to one of the agents who was hit.
Yes.
Because it does look like a service revolver.
Sam, was this fellow that did the shooting, was he right behind where you
He
were all
was right
standing?
on the camera line. As you know, Frank, there's a rope line, and there were 3 cameramen for the 3 television networks. There might have been a 4th cameraman on the line, but I don't believe so. Up front, there wasn't. I was standing behind our cameraman, as was my colleague from CBS News, Lem Tucker, standing behind his cameraman, and just to the right of the camera line was this fellow.
Yes.
He was up to the line. We assume he did not have a press credential, but of course we do not know that.
Well, was that an area earmarked specifically for press or for just spectators?
Yes, it was earmarked for press, but in defense of authorities, it was not it was what is called a press pen. It was not something that you had to have a credential to enter. It was simply a rope. And at that point, you could not proceed past the rope. And of course, the cameras and reporters got the choice spots because we told all of the other people that, of course, we were working. But I don't think it's fair to suggest that somehow the Secret Service was lax in letting other people in that area, because there was a whole crowd of bystanders, people who had been listening to the president's speech just moments before were out on the sidewalk, people who were coming in the hotel.
Yes.
Although this was a side entrance, a private entrance, it was just a few yards from one of the main side entrances of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
There's the ambulance, the first one to arrive.
Sam, what time of day precisely was this? About 2:30?
A little before 2:30,
Yeah.
Frank. The president began speaking about 2 o'clock, about 26.
Picture as it was shot and as we were able to get it to you. Dan, as you were speaking earlier, it's rare that a president is shot at here in the nation's capital. We know that there is, well, a sense of security in this town because the security people all know this town so well. Here's the scene again as the president was leaving.
The president's being pushed into his car, of course, at the first shots which we could hear. At the same time, down on the floor is Jim Brady, who's been shot in the head, the president's press secretary.
Dan, I don't...
Off in a corner, they have cornered the suspect in this, who will be later brought over to one squad car and for some reason then to another. They are equally concerned with holding him and in protecting him.
That's Jim Brady there.
There's Jim Brady lying on the floor with his familiar balding head, which is now hurt. And it seems to be only a few feet away that there are clusters of police who are holding on to the suspect in the case.
That was a Secret Service agent there in the gray suit. I was about to say, security officials feel rather comfortable about protecting the president here in Washington. This is the ambulance, Dan, picture that was shot just outside George Washington University Hospital. President and Mrs. Reagan are there. Press Secretary James Brady had been rushed there.